Hello everyone. All right. It is good to be back. Hello everyone. Hey Ayad, Carol, Mina, nice to see you guys here. It's good to be back. Finally have some good internet connection now. If I don't know you, or well, even if I do know you, please let me know how long you've been playing Oud for, and what kind of questions you have for me today. If you have anything on your mind that you've wanted to know about, and yeah, put it in the chat there so that I can read it and answer your questions. And today we're going to discuss maqam, maqamat, or maqams, however you want to call them, or modes. And yeah, hopefully you'll come out of this learning a little bit about another maqam. Maybe it's a familiar maqam to you, or maybe you'll learn something subtle, some new little tidbit about it, or maybe it'll be completely new to you. So hopefully you enjoy this. Thanks for coming, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions as we go along as well. All right. So, Oud tuning, as usual, we have C, G, D, A, F, and C. And we're going to be playing Maqam Saba today. Maqam Saba on the Oud usually starts on the D note in most cases. Now, of course, you can transpose it to different strings, but the most straightforward place to play it is on the D string. That's the starting note. So follow me. We have D, and then midway between your F note and your D note, which is at the nut, you have the E half flat or E quarter flat, whatever you want to call it. So your first note is D, then E half flat. Try that. Try to copy the sound of mine. Then third finger on F. Then we have pinky finger on G flat. There you go. Then we have A with the second finger. Maqam Saba is so difficult because we don't have an open string to play. We have to always have our finger down. So it's hard to get rid of that finger, get it out of the way so that you can adequately play that A note. Then we have B flat with the third finger. Then we have C. And then what happens at the octave, you have two top possibilities. You can go back to D natural and then repeat this cycle and do the same notes in the normal scale of Maqam Saba. Or you can, what usually happens is that you've got D flat, D flat, and E natural, and then F. Now, depending on how you want to go up here, that's a more challenging thing to think about. Probably the easiest way, if you're not going to go up to G, then you want to just play first finger on D flat, and then third finger, reach that up to the E natural position, and then pinky on F. We have this Hijaz flavor here. Okay, so before we get into Maqam Saba, now hopefully you're getting your Oud in tune with mine, and you're kind of playing around with the notes of Maqam Saba. So I want to talk a little bit about maqams in a general way. Hopefully this will give you some insight and some things to think about when you're thinking about maqams or hearing a new maqam. I've been thinking about a new kind of definition, or my own definition of what a maqam is, or what we think about it in terms of more modern way of thinking about it. And I've come up with this really wordy way of describing a definition of what a maqam is nowadays. So here it is. Maqam is a process of expressing melodies through the use of modalities of specific pitch locations that gain structure and definition through the space location on the fingerboard and time location, your progression, melodic progression, and culminate in a cohesive, recognizable, and reproducible entity. It's a very wordy kind of definition that I've been thinking about. And maybe it's not the whole story, maybe it's not fully complete, but I like what I came up with there for definition of practical and theoretical kind of definition of what a maqam is and what we think about it now. If you go back into the past, like through the early writers of what a maqam is, it's a bit different. A bit more, they used to have a bit more simpler definitions of maqams, of what a maqam is. And now if you had those people thinking about maqams and compared to how we think about maqams nowadays, those people in the past wouldn't necessarily agree. Because we have now, when we think of maqams, they're more of like combination of different maqams too. You have some maqams which are more complicated than simple maqams. And Sabah is one of those that is kind of right in between. It's in some ways it's a simple maqam, but in some ways it's not a simple maqam. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about different levels of understanding modes or maqam music. The first thing you want to do is just learn the basic set of notes in a given maqam, and that's what we just did. So learning that is the first step to learning a maqam. D, E half flat, F, G flat, A, B flat, C, D flat, E natural, F, and coming back down. The next level of learning a maqam is to learn the building blocks of each maqam. And in Arabic music, Arabic terminology and Turkish terminology, these are called jins in the singular and ajnas in the plural. So a jins is a set of 3 to 5 notes that create a particular characteristic or a flavor of something. One of the most obvious flavors is the Hijaz, jins Hijaz, or the Hijaz jins, or Hijaz tetrachord. I may use these terms throughout this. This Hijaz tetrachord is really stands out to us when we hear it. And it's characterized by that half step, 1.5 step, half step, 4 notes. And anywhere you put this, you can create this Hijaz-like flavor. We can call it Hijaz. In the past, it had a different name in Ottoman music. It was called Ozal. And eventually, these names come and go. They're different in different cultures. But this jins Hijaz is very outstanding to us. It's obvious when we hear it. It sounds very exotic to Western ears. We have this building block in Maqam Sabah. Well, let's look at the ajnas of Maqam Saba. We have this jins, which this is also known as jins Saba. This creates a certain feeling, a certain flavor immediately as soon as you hear it. You can play a little song just with these 4 notes. I cheated there and added an extra note below the tonic. The tonic, the first degree, the first note of the scale, or the maqam, is D. Underneath, sometimes you have a note that kind of helps support, like the foundation for the tonic, which is the drone that you hear beneath maqam music. Sometimes I use that C note to support it. So that was the first jins that makes up Maqam Saba. Now, we have another jins Hijaz, on F. Same intervals that I showed you earlier. Half step from F to G flat, 1.5 step from G flat to A, and then half step from A to B flat. And you'll notice that these ajnas, they overlap with each other. So you've got one jins here. So these 2 notes, F and G flat, they overlap with jins Hijaz. So what happens is, what this does is the F note becomes very important in creating a sense of the maqam. This creates a cadence. Cadence is like a melody or a phrase that kind of pauses somewhere. It could go up, it could go down, but it creates context, creates a form. Now, what I was doing first was I was playing with the jins Saba. But then I started playing with the flavor of jins Hijaz. And what creates a maqam, in my opinion, is the interaction between these different building blocks. How they interact with each other and how you play melodies with them creates the maqam. So we have this jins Hijaz. Now, above that, now if you extend jins Hijaz and make it a 5-note jins, you can also have that too, but it also starts to kind of in a little extension of maqam of jins Hijaz, makes it sound a little bit like Maqam Hijaz. Now, if you go further, Maqam Saba develops adds another jins Hijaz on C. Is D flat, E natural, and F. Now, what this starts to remind one of is another maqam that we have, Maqam Hijaz Kar. No, not Maqam Hijaz Kar. My bad. Maqam Hijaz Kar, but transposed to another note, to the F note. This sounds like Maqam Hijaz Kar. Now, so there's different interactions that are happening here. The basic, you can think of the basic material of Maqam Saba as being here in this area. You can create a whole song out of these notes, and that's it. That's all you need. But if you extend it, it tends to go into different areas like that. And eventually falls back and resolves on this note, D. So that is the second level of learning a maqam. So the next level of learning a maqam is to learn melodies, characteristic melodies that may occur. Now these melodies are created, they can be kind of created out of thin air, but they're also created by the interaction of these ajnas and the notes that define the intervals that we have. So often melodies may pause on that F note that I was talking about. And that's because of the interaction between Jins Hijaz, which starts on F, and also this minor third interval that you have in Jins Saba. This creates a harmony. This minor third interval is very strong and it stands out in our brains a lot. And it's very beautiful and very harmonious. So it's a very strong place to stop on. So this helps us create melodies in certain places. Next level of learning a maqam is to learn where it starts and where it ends. That's a very important part. This is very important in Turkish music. In Turkish music, they have this term called seyir. In Arabic, you also have the same term, seyir. But in Turkish music, it's very defined what the seyir is. You know, a maqam starts on this note and may develop a certain area of melody in certain range, and then will develop here, there, and then eventually resolve on a certain note. And the note could be different than the note that it started on. So this is important too. In Maqam Saba, it's more of an easy way to think about it, because the note that you start on and the note that you should basically end on is the same note. Starts, and melodies can start there and develop and move further, modulate, whatever, but eventually come back to that note. So this is called seyir, the way that you develop. Other maqams may start on the high octave and move down. These are called descending maqams in Turkish music, at least. And then we have maqams that kind of start in the middle, let's say. These would be called ascending, descending maqams. They start in the middle somewhere. They may go up and explore higher range, come back down. Maybe they pause on certain notes, and then they'll come back down to the tonic, or to a different note than they started on. Other maqams like Saba are ascending maqams. At least in the Arabic tradition, it's an ascending maqam. Turkish music, I'm not too sure. But you start on the tonic and you end on the tonic. Now it's not so black and white where it starts and ends. It's more like if you think of an area of notes. It doesn't have to start exactly on that note, but it starts in the flavor of that area of that note, where that area becomes characteristic of that note being the dominant kind of area that creates melody. So you start out kind of in that area. That's the area where Maqam Sabu might begin, usually in Arabic music. So that's another level of maqams that you learn. And then after that, you would have to learn repertoire in these maqams to really get to know the maqam really well. Another level that's often kind of ignored in maqam music, or at least teaching maqams, is what notes are important to pause on, to create cadences. And this you can only learn by analyzing the phraseology of the masters that have come before you and how they played the maqams. And it's something that you learn. It's something that's kind of like a collective consciousness of the musicians that play this music. There are certain notes that, with the interaction of the intervals and the interaction of the different ajnas that create a maqam, certain notes become more prominent. Like I mentioned, you've got this note, very important. You've got this note, very important too. But there's kind of like a ranking of different notes and how important they are. And they can help you create melody in different ways. This note can be important too if you wanted to emphasize it, because it's a 5th degree away from the starting point of Jins Hijaz, that F. You can create melodies out of that jump there. So you can create a different kind of flavor that happens there. Pause here on this F, which is very important. So this is what I'm talking about with ranking of different notes, and this takes a lot of time to really get to learn. It's not really easy to you could go and define certain notes of having a certain ranking or a certain importance, but it's how you use that makes it important. Or you could create different cadences out of each single step in the notes that you have that make up a certain maqam. It's how you play it that makes it convincing or not. So to help you practice this maqam, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some music here. This is a very simple exercise. Let's see if I can find it. One sec. Okay, here it is. Let's see where it shows up on the screen. Okay. This is from my ear training program. And this is also included in the Maqam Mastery Program Ultra package. This is a little ear training thing that I've created. And it's got a little sequence at the beginning. 3 lines here. Let's see if we can get it in the whole screen. I don't want that part there. Okay, let's see if that works. Not quite. Alright, how's that? Okay, you can see my oud and you can see the notes. So just start this with downstrokes, okay? No need to get fancy. We'll do this very slow. We just have a progression. Let's play it for you here. It's measure 10. So this is what's really interesting, is that you can't, because Maqam Saba is such an interesting combination of notes, you have to end your phrase in a certain way. So that's why the last two measures don't follow the pattern of the rest of the melody. Let's do it again. Okay, from the top. 1 and 2 and... Very nice melody. I really enjoy it. It could be a song. You could turn it into a little tune. This could be a nice little melody. But you can see how the progression is supposed to show you kind of how little basic way in how Maqam Saba should develop and where it goes. So measure 6, there's a part here. I use my 4th finger because I don't have to go up to F. For E natural, I use my pinky finger. And 1st finger for D flat. So yeah, this is something that we do in the ear training program. Measure by measure, you kind of do it by ear and you sing it. You sing the melodies. That's also very effective for learning a maqam. Using your ear, using your voice. If you can use your voice, if you can repeat a melody with your voice, then you can create this feedback loop with what you're hearing and how your brain is interpreting it, what you're hearing, and your voice. And then if you can sing it with your voice, you have a better chance of reproducing that on the oud. Yeah, so this is a little exercise that you can do. I hope that you'll use this and I hope that you'll practice it. Next week we are also going to do another Maqam related YouTube live around the same time as today. And this month we're going to have a promo on my Maqam Mastery Program, I believe. And there will be some bonuses you can get with it. And so if you're not on our newsletter list, make sure that you get on it. Make sure that the link is in the description. And I'm going to answer all your questions in a minute here. Yeah, so the link is in the description of this video. I'll put it there. I'm sure you guys are already on the newsletter. That's how you heard about this. But if you're not on the newsletter, there it is in the chat. All right, let's see here. All right, Brad. All right. Last 6 months devoted to piano because I realized I need to read faster. Okay, cool, cool. Yes, tetrachords. All right. This lesson will be posted. It'll stay on YouTube, at least for the time being, as far as I can see. Yeah, it's going to be on YouTube. Are there any theory books on this style of playing that I recommend? Yeah, there are some theory books. There's let's see here. Off the top of my head, there's a book by a guy named David Muallim. I can't remember the title of but I think you'll find his book if you look up that. For Turkish maqams, there's the Turkish Maqam Guide. I use that. I have that book. I use it a lot. Um, that one's a good one too. There's also Inside Arabic Music. This might be a little bit, it's not for a beginner, that's for sure, in terms of the Maqam section. The Maqam section is you really have to study it for some years. You really have to study the music and learn the music and use that if you want to really use the Maqam section to the most that you want, in order to really get the most out of it. I mean, that's a good book to start with. Those are all good books, but what I recommend the most is to actually live this music and try to put it a little bit into your life day by day. So whether that's learning a new song, repertoire is great for learning maqams. Also singing the tunes, learning how to sing the tunes that you're playing. Yeah, so that's how I recommend doing it. So if you take this video and you just watch that section where I improvise a little bit, and you try to copy some of these melodies, or you find another taqsim somewhere else on YouTube, listen to it a bunch of times and try to really absorb those melodies. And by absorbing it, I mean that you can hear it and you can kind of copy the idea, the main idea, not note by note, but the main idea of the melody, where the melody starts, where the melody ends, and the kind of the rhythm feel of the melody. Often a lot of these phrases that we have in Middle Eastern music are very closely related to the way that the languages work, whether it's Turkish, Persian, and Arabic. And that's probably why each Turkish music, Persian music, and Arabic music have their own different flavor to them, or their own kind of way of developing melody, is probably as a result of the rhythm that's inside our language, our mother tongue, whatever. So I highly recommend to sing melodies, get them into your voice, so to speak. It's almost like learning a little bit of language there, because you're getting the patterns and where the emphasis notes are. So definitely live it. Reading, one of my teachers said that reading Maqam theory books, it will only get you so far. And you really just have to, just the way that you get to know a person, you have to get to know a maqam the same way. You have to spend time with a maqam and really get to know it. Learning one piece in a maqam and then putting aside is going to help a lot. And then, but if you learn a few more songs, that's even better. You're going to get to know that maqam even more. So for example, in my Maqam Mastery Program, I have examples of music to listen to, music to learn in each maqam, so that you can, by yourself, learn that music that's really characteristic of that particular maqam. That's very important. Yeah. So any other questions that you have about learning maqams? Or okay, Ayad, you had another question about easy songs. Yeah, I do plan to continue doing kind of an easy songs series. So yeah, I've left it open-ended so that there can be volume 3, 4, 5, whatever, until it gets quite comprehensive. But yeah, I will be doing more courses like easy Oud songs coming out, hopefully in the next year or so. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to do with you today. I hope that you enjoyed. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me today. It's the first YouTube live in a long time. I'll be doing more. Yeah, so if there's any last minute questions, I don't mind spending some time. Yeah. Let's see here. If there's time, would you please talk about Persian, oud, and rhythm in improvisation? Yeah, that's a good question. Persian, oud, and rhythm improvisation. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's a good question. I did post those in relation to learning about maqams, so that there's some place on my YouTube channel that kind of goes through the essence of some Persian modes. Yeah, definitely will we'll talk about that. Yeah, if there's any last questions, get them out in the chat and I'd be happy to answer, whether it's about buying an oud, happy to talk about buying an oud, or playing the oud, beginner stuff, whatever it might be. Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, one more question here. Are you still selling that oud? Yes, this oud is still for sale. Yeah, it is still for sale on the website. I can share the link there. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I won't be able to find it quickly. Let's see here. Yeah, this oud is still being sold. There's a bit of a longer wait time for this oud to come out. Can take about 2 to 3 weeks for it to be shipped out. So there is a bit longer wait than originally I knew about. But yeah, it's still being sold. The people who have bought it so far are really happy with it. I really enjoy this oud. This is a fantastic instrument. I'm really impressed with Sultan Instruments for creating this one. Yeah, a lot of people really like it. Yeah, it's really nice. Alright, so if there's no more questions, I am going to head out, finish for today. Another good question. Is there a good website to buy a Persian barbat? There's no good website to buy a Persian barbat, unfortunately. There is a guy who's importing them and selling them in Europe. That website is orientalinstruments.com, I think. Let's verify that. But the wait time and wait list to get a barbat is really, really difficult. And with the situation in Iran right now, it's quite... I wouldn't recommend going this way unless you're not a faint of heart and you really want to get a barbat. Let's see. orientalinstruments.com. Let's see what he's got. Web shop. Oud and Barbat. Let's see. No products to be found. Yeah, it's hard to find. It's like they order one and they sell right away, or you know, it's hard to get a Barbat. Let's see. Anyway, I'll link this into the chat for you, and you can investigate that. Yeah, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the Barbat so much. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I don't like the sound so much. I prefer the traditional Arabic sound or Turkish oud. But yeah, the Barbat's kind of nice. Nice to have. It's got a cool bass range, I must admit. I really like the bass sound of the Barbat, but the high range I don't really enjoy so much. It's a bit weak in my opinion. But let me find this this oud here. This oud by Sultan Instruments. I'll put that in the chat, and then we'll be off. So yeah, make sure you get on the newsletter if you're not already there, so that you can hear about the stuff that's happening this month with Maqam Mastery Program. The Maqam Mastery Program is cool because it shows you a lot of modulations that you can do in all of these different maqams. Okay, here's the Sultan Plus Oud link. You can check out the details there. All right, thanks so much for joining, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend, and hopefully we'll see you next week again for some more Maqam information and all that stuff. Great. Thank you. Bye.